Hi Shruti, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, sir. How are you doing?
I'm good too, thank you. So can you tell me something about yourself?
Yeah, I'm from Bangalore, basically. So coming into myself, so I have got 5.1 years of experience in manual testing, and out of which I have worked into automation as well. That was for 7 to 8 months in my last project. So and I have got like good knowledge in core Java and
Hmm.
Selenium, and I've got very good experience in test writing, execution, and also I was involved in reviewing process as well, written by my juniors in my last project. And and yeah, so far I have worked in 4 projects. So that covered like healthcare domain
Hmm.
and the e-commerce domain for few months and all. So yeah, this is about myself, and coming to my roles and responsibilities in my last project. Sorry. Yeah, in my last project, which was entity data I worked for. So there I was a manual tester basically, and my task there was to write the manual test case and get it reviewed from developer and other stakeholders like project manager and all. And after that, I used to hand over the test case to the automation tester. Sometimes I used to automate as well, based on the requirement. Sorry.
No worries, no worries.
And yeah, and after that, once it is handed over, sorry, I've got cough.
No worries. So if you want, you can take out some time. Yeah, okay. Hmm.
Yeah,
So yeah,
once the test case, sorry, yeah,
yeah, please go ahead. Once the test case.
okay. Once the test case has been handed over to the automation tester, they used to automate the test cases. As I said, sometimes I used to automate myself using a tool called Start. That was an internal tool in SAP. So after that, for creating test case for automation, we use Start tool. For execution, there was a different tool, that is a Step. It is called Step
Hmm.
Execution Platform. It is called. So as soon as I log in every day, I have to check out the emails and say, for example, there are 100 automation test cases, 50 are passed, 50 are failed. So within the team, we used to take up the test cases based on the bandwidth.
Hmm.
And we used to analyze and make it run pass. So this is the whole procedure. And one more thing I wanted to mention, in my last project, they used to follow, they used to write the test cases, manual testers in Excel. But when I got into that company, there was this whole legacy system that was writing into Excel. So I asked the team lead, why can't we use some other tools?
Hmm.
So we used some plugin called X-Ray. So we wrote test cases there, and I exported like almost 400 test cases.
Okay,
So so this is about myself. Yeah.
great. So this X-ray tool, which you used for converting test cases from Excel to within the system. So this was your um point, I mean, this was your suggestion.
Yeah. That was my suggestion, and yeah, and everyone was happy with that. So they switched to X-ray. Even
Hmm.
now they are using X-ray. It seems one of my colleagues contacted me a few months ago, and he
Great.
thanked me for that. So they're it's very helpful. They are telling, yeah,
Absolutely. So this you can highlight as your contribution or your achievement as well.
yeah,
That
yeah,
earlier,
yeah.
as a part of QA process, they were writing the test cases in an Excel file, which is
Okay.
cumbersome, which is actually a lot of difficult to maintain also. But
Yeah.
because of your suggestion, because of your uh, some R&D you did, some POC you did on that particular tool, X-ray tool, and now they have migrated from the Excel files to the
Yeah.
tool, right? So that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So today we'll be covering more questions related to the manual testing, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So now let's go for the scenario-based questions.
Okay.
Hmm, okay. So is my screen visible to you?
Mhm. Yeah, now it's
Hmm.
visible.
Okay, so now you are a part of the testing team, which is
Mhm.
actually testing push notifications on an app, right? It's a mobile application on which you have
Mhm.
to perform testing. It supports both Android as well as iOS. Now, these
Mhm.
push notifications would be sent out as an ads, which would be published by a marketing team. So
Mhm.
let's take an example. Recently, we had this Women's Day. So on
Mhm.
Women's Day, the marketing team will publish these ads, for example, 50% off on these particular products. And
Correct.
recently we had Holi festival, so maybe 20% off or 40% off on Holi due to this, apply this code. So such kind of push notifications you have to test. So can you come up with the test scenarios?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Hmm.
So it is in both Android and iOS, right?
Yes, yes, both.
Okay. So yeah, first of all, I'll ask for the team lead to have two devices handy. So I will check, like, first I will concentrate on Android because the number of users in India are Android.
Hmm.
So I will concentrate on Android. In that I will check if the notification is working fine. So whenever there has to be like two devices. When you send it from the back end, whatever the offers and all, it has to come in the notification. So
Hmm.
once you send it, it has to appear in the phone drop down. When you drag the phone, it has to be appear in the notification. I will verify that thing first of all, and then once I click onto the notification, it has to give the complete details. I mean to say, it has to navigate to that respective page. It should
Hmm.
not go to some other page when you click on the notification. And I'll verify if it is going to that respective notification, and I will check for the content. For example, if they are pushing it from the backend, it is 50% and all. We have to uh, have only that particular data. I mean to say, only 50% of should be visible, not like 25%. And I will check for the content. For example, it is for Women's Day, it has to be like Women's Day and all, not some
Hmm.
other day. So I'll verify for the content, and I will check. I will go for the compatibility testing. Uh, First of all, first of all, in the compatibility testing, I will go for the latest Android version, whatever is released, and the last maybe 4 to 5 versions backward. So I will check for all those versions, and yeah, this scenarios I will take up as a coverage, and then I'll move to iOS. And in that also, I will check for all the scenarios which I mentioned, and also I will, if there is a requirement for API testing, we will have to do the performance testing and API testing, whatever, API testing we have to do, and then. mm, Um, yeah, that's it, I
Yeah.
think.
Right, right. So I think you have covered pretty scenarios, good number of scenarios. You were telling about API testing. So how would you test this scenario from the API perspective?
From the API
Hmm.
perspective, like
Hmm.
if the URL is given for that particular notification, so we
Hmm.
have to test for that URL. So it is like, as I told, is it hitting to that
Hmm.
particular website?
Hmm.
If there is a notification of Women's Day for 50% off, so it has to hit that API only. It should not go some other
Hmm. Hmm.
URL. So that API testing I will do. And also, I think backend testing should also be done for this.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So the scenarios that you have added, apart from that, few of the scenarios which you can add more to the list is you'll
Mm.
first install the app and you will enable the push notifications. And so this is a happy path, right? And then you will also check by disabling the push notifications,
Okay.
right? Then here they have written about a data source. So you will what you will do is you will also do backend testing. So as you were referring at the end, so you'll delete the data source of the marketing team. You'll see
Mm.
what happens when there is no data source available or when there is no data available. Sometimes the you will clean up all the data from the data source and you will again test it, right? You'll open the
Okay.
other applications that are there in the mobile, and you will see whether push notifications are going properly or not, right? Then you'll perform a click action on the push notification, and you will see the proper notification has opened or not. Then you will click the close option and you will check it. Then you will check in different versions of the mobile phones. So you'll perform compatibility testing, right? Then you will check if the ads in the push notification are from the data source itself. So you should not get any irrelevant ads that were not supposed to be part of that push notification, right?
Okay.
And then
Mm.
you will uninstall and again you will reinstall. Then you will check for the push notifications. Let's say when you were about to get push notification, you uninstalled the app and then again you
Mm.
install. Is that push notification remaining there or what happens to that?
Okay.
And lastly, you can also check by disabling the network. You can open the app and you can check for notification, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so disable the notifications and the expected, you'll verify there should not be any notifications coming up,
Okay.
right? So that's how you will be performing testing on this push notifications. Okay, fine. So now, um, what is the difference between test plan and test strategy?
Test plan is a
Hmm,
document which derives all testing activities, and there are different phases in that. Um, so, like objective is there, scope is there, methodology will be there, and roles and responsibilities of testing team will be there. Entry and exit criteria will be there,
hmm,
and also test deliverables will be there. So test strategy is like, as the name is telling, strategy. We'll be using the strategy
hmm,
uh, to perform the test. So if, for example, like if there is, if we have like, uh, if we have to test one application, there will be like 5 testers. So
hmm,
one testers would not be there because of some, because he might not be well and all. So
hmm,
in that case, we have to use some test strategy to make
hmm,
it happen, to make things happen. So, like, yeah, this is the main difference between test plan and test strategy.
hmm, hmm, hmm. Okay, fine. So can we change the test plan or test strategy once the project starts?
Um, yeah, we can change.
Hmm,
Once, yeah, we can change.
you can change.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So test strategy can be changed. Sorry, test strategy should not be changed, while test plan can be changed. It can be
Changed,
modified
yes.
as per the requirements. Because if there are changes in the requirements, then you will have to act accordingly, right? Test plan is more about
Mhm.
what needs to be tested. Test strategy is
Yeah,
how you need to test them. Okay.
correct.
So now let's take this scenario. So you are working in
Mhm.
project A, right? Any project. Let's consider this is an investment banking domain project, and you have got two QA members who are junior to you. They are working in this project, and you are aware about agile methodology, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. So you have a sprint duration which is of 15 days. So you are
Okay.
working in sprint one. You have received the build, and your QA team members, they did the testing. They found nearly 8 bugs in the user story, right, which was developed by the team. So it's not completed, right?
Mm.
So they did one round of testing, one round of test cycle completed. Okay, now you have assigned the defects to the development team. But so let's consider out of 15 days, you have received build on the third day. Okay,
Okay.
now you haven't received the build after that for further 4 days, right?
Okay.
So now half of the sprint is gone.
Mm-hmm.
You have already done the commitment to the client as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are not receiving the build. You received just once. You did one level of testing, but still you're not confident enough whether all the bugs would be fixed in the next cycle or not. You are waiting for retesting and you are waiting for further testing as well. So what will you do in this situation?
So yeah, first of all,
Mm,
I and my team members will be approaching my team lead. We'll
mm,
take a call that
mm,
we are not doing anything for the 4 days, and
mm,
the time is also nearing. So we have to complete it, because based on the requirement and all, we have to complete it off in another seven
mm,
days,
mm,
which is less, because the if the requirement is very complex, so we will be needing like more days of time.
mm,
I last time. Otherwise, this is one case,
mm,
and even after having call with the team lead, and after team lead will be approaching PM or this other stakeholders
mm,
and other developers, and to make it work in a better way and faster way. If
mm,
we receive the build, then it's fine. If we don't receive the build, then we QA members will approach the dev and
mm,
ask if they can give the requirement for API testing, as it
mm,
is called early testing.
mm,
So if the UI is not designed, that is fine. Okay, no problem. At least we can do some API testing in the
mm,
span of 4 days. So that if after 4 days we'll be having only 7 days, in 7 days we can do the other UI testing and all. If the
mm,
API testing is working fine, then we can go to UI testing. It's not like a big deal,
mm,
because it takes less time. If API is working fine, then we can take less time for UI testing. So
mm,
this is one approach I will follow.
mm,
And if after all this, even if the developer doesn't give the build, then
mm,
we'll have to go to PM to make it happen.
mm, mm. Correct,
So
correct.
yeah,
So
these approaches.
yeah, yeah. So all the approaches are valid and those are absolutely right. And one of the approach which you mentioned about API testing, that is
Correct,
the wonderful response. So see, sometimes you know what happens, the testers, they'll just wait for things to happen, right?
correct.
So instead of that, you can start API testing. You can also request dev team to give you the dev environment access and
Correct.
whatever the functionality that has been developed, everything cannot be deployed together. Maybe they are having some deployment issues, maybe the coding has been done from their side, right? So once you will have a word with them, then you can also start testing on development environment. I'm not telling you to sign
Mm,
off the user story on development environment, but it is to expedite the testing that you can do,
mm,
because 4 days are gone. So sometimes the testers are they are offering so much of resistance that we cannot do testing on development environment. We'll wait for
mm,
stories to come in the test environment, which actually
yeah,
delays the project. And ultimately, if you see from the client perspective, they have done the investment, they are already waiting for the product to come, right? So such kind of
correct.
things are not acceptable from their perspective as well. So you can start development environment testing. And if you find any bugs, so don't create bugs in Jira also, just give as a part of observations that you have found in an email to the dev team, and loop and keep the senior folks in the loop, so that everyone is on the same page. Everyone knows this testing has been done on the development environment,
Yeah.
right? And once you will get those things in the test environment, you maybe you are able to complete 40% testing in the development environment, you would be left
Yeah.
out with 60% testing. Maybe if you are able to start with API testing, if they can give you few collections also in the Postman, you just have to import them. You have to run those APIs, check with invalid, valid content, and see what is the response that you are getting, right?
Yeah.
So that's the approach. So you covered the approach of approaching, sorry, you covered the answer of approaching test lead. That was also a valid answer. And apart from that, whenever you go to the test lead, always approach them with a problem and with a solution. So you can
Mm,
say, sir, this is the problem, but this is a solution that we are thinking from our end. Can this be useful here? So those kind of
mm,
things will be useful to you because you have 5 years of experience, right? So if you will say
yeah.
this is a problem, but instead of that, just go with one or two solutions. See, this is also one of the solution that we can get take. There's also second solution that we can take. Please advise which one to go for. And
Mm,
maybe he might be able to think with a third solution. based on two solutions or approaches which you have given, right? So more of a collaboration, coordination, a kind of a game that you have to play here, right? Yeah, hello, hello. Yeah. So, Shruti, can you tell me about the test scenarios from an investment banking domain application?
Yeah, actually, I've not worked in banking domain, but yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
can try.
Yeah, yeah, please, please.
Yeah, yeah. First, is it like mobile or web? What is it?
So, yeah, yeah. So it's a web-based application.
Web. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, first of all, I'll check for the URL. If the URL is working fine, I'll check if the URL is working fine in different browsers.
Mm,
So that particular URL, yeah, in different browsers, and I'll verify for the login credentials, username, password, basically the registration one, with different permutation and combinations. And in the login page, yeah, we can come up with so many scenarios like remember me, forgot password,
mm,
and yeah, we can cover all those scenarios in login page. And after that, like yeah, once it is clicked on to login page, it has to go to the home page of that particular application. So yeah, that I will be covering up. And after that, we have to verify in the home page whatever is designed, like uh, withdrawals, deposit, and different sections like student loan, home loan, whatever is there. So it has to be covered. We have to verify if all the features are working fine, and we have to check for the database testing as well. Like if the customer is making a payment from there, we have to check like all the details of the payment is proper or not. For
mm,
example, if the customer one is sending to customer two from the section um, send money. So we have to check all the details in the backend, like if he's sending that particular amount and it is storing that particular data in the backend. So we have to do database testing as well. And we can do equivalence partitioning design techniques basically.
mhm,
There should be limit for sending money. You just can't send like 10 crores, 15 crores and all. There should be they should set up design techniques for that as well. A user can send at a day only this much of amount. There should be limitation for that. So for that, I can cover all the equivalence partitioning, boundary value analysis as well. So, and apart from that, we can also uh, uh, do secure connections.
mhm,
Say for example, if the customer is sending money or if he is receiving money, so it has to be integrate, like it has to website should be integrated with the proper banking backend.
mhm,
So that secure connection should be there. The gateway should be proper, and apart from that, yeah,
mhm,
API testing should also be done. I mean, performance testing should be there. That means a number of how many number of users can be used this application
mhm.
at that particular point of time. Mm. So load or stress testing, yeah, that should be done. And
Correct. Hello, hello.
yeah,
Yeah,
did I is it like disconnected again
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah. It was a disconnect in
it
between.
is
No
like yeah,
worries.
it is
Yeah,
quitting unexpectedly? I don't know
okay.
why.
No worries, no worries. So you were telling something about a database.
Correct, correct,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So,
database testing should also be done for the customer
mhm,
details and yeah, other amount details as well. So all those things can be covered.
okay. So now, can you tell me performance test scenarios? for this kind of application, which is investment banking domain application?
Performance
Mm,
testing, yeah.
mm,
Like I have an idea about performance
mhm,
testing. I have not worked on it. Yeah, we have to apply like how many number of users it can take at that particular time, like how many users it can take, how many users can work on it, and apart from that, how many load the load can be given, the load of data
mm,
it can take at that particular time without any hassle, like it should work.
mhm.
So I think, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fine. So let me share my screen.
Hmm.
Mm. See, these are few of the scenarios that you can consider. So first is user authentication. You covered user can successfully log in using valid credentials. User cannot log in with invalid credentials and password strength requirements. Then account management test scenarios, right?
Hmm.
Verifying the users can create new investment accounts. Check for the users can view their account details, balances, test account update functionality. Then transaction processing. So whatever transactions that you are doing pertaining to fund transfers, bill
Mhm.
payments, stock, all those things. Then are you able to purchase all the investment products such as mutual funds, bonds, right? Then
Mhm.
reporting and analytics. So you'll be checking with respect to various reports that you get, right? Statements, graphs, all those kind of financial reports. Then security and compliance. So the data should be sensitive. It should be encrypted. Only
Mhm.
authorized users should be able to perform specific actions. From performance testing, you can cover the response time of an application. How much time does it take to perform the transaction for the users that are supposed to be there with different load conditions, with different um, concurrent users trying to perform the operation during the peak time, right? Then, yeah,
Mhm.
right? Then integration also is there. So you will test with the external systems, whatever banks those are being integrated, how are the APIs been integrated. You'll test with the failover and recovery mechanism, right? Those
Mhm.
are the integration scenarios that you can cover.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what are the different metrics or reports that you will consider to know how effective your testing process is?
We can take traceability matrix, and
Okay.
test execution report
Hmm.
can be considered, and test case report, how many test cases are written, how many test cases are passed and failed, and defect report can be considered,
Right,
like
right. So
the
what
step
will you
of
consider in
the
defect report?
defect report. If it is uh, yeah, defect report, we can consider the steps for the defects,
Hmm.
and preconditions for the defects, and in what platforms the defects are being logged. If there is a requirement to check in different platforms,
Hmm.
so we can consider platforms, different platforms. In different platforms, what are the defects we are getting? So actual results and expected results we can take, and
Hmm.
screenshots column for attaching the screenshots, and yeah, um, the steps mainly, how
Hmm.
it can reproduced again.
Okay, okay. So in order to measure the effectiveness of testing, don't you think you should consider the defects those have been found by the customer, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
we should always think in the perspective of customer to get more defects. Yeah.
correct, correct. So see, let me share my screen. See, you can use defect leakage ratio as a matrix to measure how effective was your testing. So what is defect leakage ratio? So the formula to calculate this ratio is number of defects found post release divided by total number of defects found. So irrespective of how many defects did you find in the testing phase, but it is very important the customers should not be able to find more defects in the production, right? So that
Mhm.
kind of matrix you can get. So that is defect leakage ratio. right? So adding more to that, so what is defect leakage ratio? So it is nothing but it is used that how many, it will do the calculation how many defects are found by the customers after the software is released, right? So lower
Okay.
defect leakage ratio, that means more defects were found during your testing phase, which suggests your testing phase or your testing process is effective enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
So generally they'll come up with an SLA in a service-based company. They'll come up with a SLA of 5% or 10% with respect to
Okay.
UAT testing. Yeah, and with respect to production, it would be somewhere around maybe 2%. Right?
Okay.
And then
Mm-hmm.
it also depends how many defects are being identified. So sometimes you get a defect that has been created in your bug tracking tool, but those defects should not be a change request. Those defects should not be an enhancement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you can
Yeah, yeah.
consider them as a defect. Sometimes people classify them as defects only, but that's not true. So then you would
Mm-hmm.
be able to come up with this kind of matrix and you'll be able to find out what is the percentage. And then you can say, no, the testing team internally, they were able to do effective thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay. Wait. Okay. Do you perform security testing?
No, in any of the projects I didn't do security testing. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. Okay. So do you follow any of the process while giving estimation to the user stories?
Uh, in one of the projects, we did come up with the test estimation report.
Mhm,
Like there were a lot of modules in that application.
mhm.
So we came up like how many modules were there in that module. How
Hello,
how
am I audible?
yeah, you are
Yeah,
audible, sir.
yeah. Tell me. So how will
Yeah.
you do estimation? Yeah.
Yeah, as I was saying, like for this particular module,
Mm,
uh, the estimation was suppose we have to cover all types of testing in 48 hours.
mm,
So out of which we took like 52 or 53 hours.
mm,
Sometimes we used to take less than the estimated hour.
mm.
So this kind of estimation report, and we worked on this estimation for few months in one of the projects.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on what basis were you giving estimation? How were you determining how much time would you take to test that particular user story?
For one particular module, we used to take like all types of testing we used to cover: functional testing, regression, integration, sanity. So we used to take like almost we did take maybe more than 26 or 27 hours. Yeah, I need to say
Okay,
2 days, almost two
2 days.
days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you would have given the justification also why that it took more time, maybe more defects you were able to find, or maybe the complexity of the user story was more.
Yeah. The requirement was bit complex, so that was the
Mm.
reason like we had to cover all the test cases, and yeah, we took so much of time.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Shruti. I'm done with the interview.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, so actually I was on maternity break
Mhm.
and